Something's off and you can feel it. The words you're looking for used to come faster. You didn't used to get so tired in the afternoon. You used to actually finish things. Does that sound familiar? I know it did for me. Fog and distraction. By the end of this episode, you're going to understand what's actually driving it and walk away with some concrete things that you can start changing for yourself right now. Yeah, some of that is age. I'm not going to lie to you, but age isn't the whole story. Plenty of people our age are still sharp and energized and still in the game. So what's the difference? If you don't figure that out, you're not just leaving performance on the table. You're leaving yourself on the table. Here's what I keep coming back to. You are not even halfway done. Think about that. The things you still want to do, the places you haven't been, being able to show up at your kid's wedding someday or your grandkid's birthday, that version of you is being built right now by the choices you make today. So the question isn't whether this stuff matters, it's whether you're going to do something about it. For those that don't know me, I'm Chris. I spent 30 years in my career going from a lean, clear-headed software guy in my 20s to a foggy dad bod project manager in my 40s. And back again. Somewhere along the way, I realized this can't just be how it is. And in my quest to get myself back, I dropped over 60 pounds, got my energy back, and feel sharper and more motivated than I have in years. First, we're going to talk about the gut-brain breakdown. Not many people talk about this, but as bodies age, the bacteria in your gut naturally change over time and can trigger inflammation that interferes with the vagus nerve. That's the main communication between your stomach and your brain. When these signals are weak or blocked, your brain can struggle to form new memories. This means the problem doesn't just start in the brain. It can start in the gut, where the signal begins. Don't believe it? In recent animal studies, they've actually taken gut bacteria from older animals, put them into younger animals, and guess what? The younger ones develop memory problems too. They sure didn't know about this shit when we grew up, did they? The age we live in. Now, the part that'll blow your mind is that scientists have found that stimulating that nerve using chemicals or hormones can bypass the inflammation and actually restore memory capacity. To be sure, it doesn't restore lost memories, but the ability of your brain to handle memory properly. The point is, there is hope. You can change this. So, how? Well, here's the first thing. We didn't get soft and foggy by eating healthy foods, now did we? Nope. Pizza, burgers, chips are all processed foods. In some cases, ultra-processed. These foods lead to inflammation and stupidly inefficient handling of calories. Throw beer and pop on top of that, and you have a recipe for loss of focus, energy disruption, and a real hit to your thinking power. Now, remember those bacteria we mentioned? And the communication channel? Processed foods are a major source of that inflammation. So we should just eat salad, right? Get some healthy protein. You know it's not that easy. That engineered shit is designed to keep you coming back. Getting it out of your life is anything but easy. Haven't we all tried? And how many times? For me, what worked was getting focused on who I was and what I actually wanted. You may not be there yet, but you will be. It does involve something of an identity shift. An identity what now? You can think of it as sort of a midlife crisis. Not the one where you get divorced and buy a Corvette, but the one where you really ask yourself what you're going to do with the time you have left. You realize you're not invincible anymore, and while you do have a solid 30 to 40 years left, what are you going to do with it? This is where the identity shift really helps. You didn't get where you are overnight, and you're not going to get back overnight either. So don't think, I'm going to try to be healthy, but rather, I don't eat crap food. Do or do not. There is no try. And there is so much more to this one. We're going to do some deeper dives in other episodes. Stay tuned. Alcohol. Okay. I really hate to do this to you, but we have to talk about alcohol. I have a great love of a good IPA and scotch, Shout out to Two Hearted and Delmore, but you may not care for your favorite go-tos after what I'm about to tell you. And I'm not going to beat around the bush. That shit really F's you up. It prevents good sleep, messes with the bacteria in your gut, and leads to dehydration, which you know is a hangover. All of that can make you slower, foggier, and take you out of the race. Maybe you've convinced yourself that you're okay with where you are. I know I had. But when I stopped drinking, along with the better food choices, I was like, whoa. So yeah, alcohol does not just mess with your brain directly. It can also wreck the gut bacteria that help keep inflammation under control. When that balance gets thrown off, the gut doesn't work like it should. Inflammation goes up, and the brain starts getting bad messages from the body. That matters for memory because that gut-brain chatter affects how the brain handles new information. So if you drink enough, often enough, you're not just slowing yourself down in the moment, you may be feeding the exact kind of gut-brain problems that make memory worse over time. You really don't need me to say what you should do about alcohol. You gotta make a choice for yourself. Okay, nutrition. Now, once you've taken out the trash, here's what you need to put into your body. I won't deep dive this because once you've cut the ultra-processed crap, there's really only good foods left. Raw fruits and veggies, nuts, cheeses, leafy greens, meats, yogurts, beans. Look, I'm not going to list them all for you here. And you don't need some exotic superfood list. You need food that your body recognizes, enough protein to stay strong, and enough fiber to keep your gut and brain talking like they should. Be sure you get the basics. Drink at least 80 ounces of water a day, get over 100 grams of protein a day, and try to build meals from real food instead of pseudo-health crap like granola bars and smoothies. And don't cut too much out. I've done what I've done while still enjoying hot wings, steak, and almost all the meats. I don't think you can go too wrong on a keto-friendly diet. They called it Atkins back in the day. But get the processed junk out and you will lose some weight on top of this. Did I mention I'm down over 60 pounds? Lean and clean. You can be too. And don't worry about portion sizes. Like I said, get the crap out and a lot of the food noise eventually dies down. NGL, it can take 1 to 2 months, but it eventually becomes manageable. Then you don't necessarily crave more than you feel comfortable eating. Overall, I just want to throw one more thing at you on the gut. An obscure little tidbit that you won't hear in other videos. Studies have shown that humming can not only cut stress hormones, but also tone up that gut-brain nerve, improving that gut-brain chatter and your memory in the process. Maybe those dwarves were onto something. Heads up on the timeline, you might notice some good shifts within a couple of weeks. But the real difference, where you actually feel like a different person, that's a few months out in my experience. No way around it, you have to stay the course. Anyone promising a turnaround in a week or two is selling something. I mean, I'm selling something too, but it's your performance, not some product. Anyway, your doctor's probably been on your case about eating better for years. Mine sure was. But they're not just reciting bullshit lines that they had to learn in school. It's all for you. So yeah, all that bad stuff adds up. It's quietly working against you every day. Did you notice the pattern though? The gut-brain thing isn't 3 separate problems. It's one problem wearing 3 different hats. Processed foods trash your gut bacteria. Alcohol does the same, actually killing off the good stuff and disrupting the comm lines to your brain. And poor nutrition means you can't fully rebuild what you're losing. It's a flywheel. You fix one thing and it helps the next one too, but you have to start. I started with cutting processed foods first. That eliminated a lot of the food noise in my head and cut my cravings. I followed about a month later by cutting alcohol, which by that time wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. And then the good foods came in pretty naturally after that. It was magical. Here's what I want you to take away though. You don't have to go cold turkey, which is a great source of protein by the way. Pick one thing. Maybe it's dropping the processed foods like I did, or maybe for you it's cutting the drinking first. Or maybe it's just adding something into your diet that actually feeds your gut. Start with one, and remember, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Just show up consistently and let that flywheel spin. And when you start addressing this stuff, your brain clears a bunch and you get to some really interesting shit. You start realizing even more things about where you've been, what you're doing, and wondering more about where you're going. That's right, getting your shit together not only requires an identity shift, but comes with a level up. But that's something we'll cover in another episode. In the meantime, remember who you are. You didn't come this far to fade out. LFG, guys. And if you want to know some other things you can do to improve energy and focus, go watch this other video.